Hello, and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every ape-tastic minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd, and across from me, I have the milk-vomiting pair of Richard and Sean.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard and Sean.
Hi, everybody.
I promise no more vomit
I'm
talk
not
for
as
Richard
mad
today.
At Sean today.
Not now. You've had a little time to...
He might
I've had some time. I didn't even sit on the couch for a while.
There you go.
He might
Take some
provoke
time
you.
out.
You didn't drink any milk, did you?
No, I don't drink milk.
I don't either. Gross.
All right, we're going to start minute 104 with Cornelius reading the scroll, and it ends with Taylor inspecting what looks like to be a gun. As of minute 104, we've got 2 living humans, 2 confirmed dead, 1 dead ape, a shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans.
Wait, did that hurt it at all? When he's dead, did that hurt the shrewdness, or are there still so many apes that it's still a shrewdness?
Well, a shrewdness is just a group of apes, so you can have a dead ape and outside of the shrewdness of apes, yes.
Okay.
All right, so now we understand why there's so much culling and gelding going on with the apes, don't we?
What?
Because the scripture that they're talking about, they want to keep the population down.
Okay, yeah. So basically, Cornelius is reading the 29th scroll, 6th verse from the scroll that he pulled from Zeus's pocket. And this is what it says. Beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Among God's primates, he kills for sport or lust or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers. For he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him. Drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death.
Is there any Bible verse that really outlines
That specifically? I don't know.
Yeah, that pinpoints. I mean, I know there are things that say, or at least you can find scripture that supports all your biases to an extent.
Right.
But is there anything that is that specific that says this will do this and this and this and this and this and this?
I'm sure that in the Old Testament with like shellfish and stuff like that, but that would just people not understanding how food affected you, and so they said, don't eat shellfish because it's bad for you, instead of, hey, guess what? 1,000 years, 2,000 years later, we realized you can cook shellfish and eat it properly. I don't think there was anything specifically saying these are cursed beasts and stuff like that, and they destroy everything they eat.
So we speculated last minute that Zeus is known about the history of man, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't it.
No, this
isn't that moment.
Yeah.
This is just why we should hate man. This isn't anything about his past or anything related to that. It's specifically like, he's a bad guy. They're going to kill people. You should cut down their numbers. So it almost suggests that at some point in this particular scripture, they're saying, drive back man, kill man, do these things, suggesting some type of conflict between the intelligent apes and man, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you come across from this kind of moment?
Yeah, as you said that, all I can think about is coming movies and the current movies.
Right. So,
and it definitely, when you say that, it's funny because I've forgotten about this point of the film in those. You can almost hear the screenwriters coming back and going, wow, that's a very rich bit of text to take from.
I mean, there are two things here. The first thing is why we should keep him subjugated, why we should do these things, why we should not let him breed, shun him, keep his numbers, drive him back in his jungle, for he's the harbinger of death.
Harbinger of death.
Harbinger of death. But this also suggests that they were fighting at some point, right?
Well,
no?
I mean,
yes?
Even more that, they're talking about alone among God's primates that man kills for sport. But I want to know, are the apes justifying their culling of the humans as not being sport when they're literally hanging them up like meat and taking pictures in front of them, smiling?
But we justify all of our means. We can look at things and say it's just that we do it, and not look at the injustices of the rest of the world.
But that's what I want to know. Are the apes doing the exact same things that they're accusing the humans of?
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So
we live in
the humans are monsters, but the apes,
We live in a world where we can say that we are cultured, yet we forge war campaigns against people.
Oh, yeah.
Why does the scripture not just tell them to eradicate the humans? Why are they keeping humans? Why are they allowing humans to even live at this point? I don't understand that.
Well, it did say drive him back into the jungle. I mean, it's like push him back.
But that's what I'm saying. But he does say, why even keep them alive at all?
The line specifically, yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land, suggests that humans own land. Like it is, they're attributing.
Well, they control
they're attributing ape qualities to humans. But that for the humans they have right now that are kind of just dumb.
If there has been a moment in this script that is 100% a condemnation of man in 1968, it is this moment.
Oh.
As you say, he'll murder his brother to possess his brother's land. We're going into already existing in Vietnam at this point.
Oh, we would have been in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Knee deep in Vietnam. So we are murdering our brothers to possess land.
Drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death.
Yeah.
That is definitely a reference to Vietnam.
We are not pulling back at this point. It's not just race relations. It's 100% saying we are out of control as a society.
Yeah.
And this is what happens. I, as an ape, can look back and say, you are that because I'm not. Even in, you are going to have the intricacies of, yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it interesting. But it is 100% there's a finger wagging in the face of people watching this. And did they get that? Are they getting it? How many of them are getting that at this point?
The kids.
The kids.
The kids without the beards.
The kids without the beards. I thought you meant like the little bitty kids. Little kids are like asking the dads going, what are they talking about?
No, my dad talks about the Vietnam War, and every night they would call up a birthday to go.
My dad's told me those too.
And they would sit there every night and watch. And realize that was not my birthday. Thank goodness it was not my birthday.
Good God.
And then remember,
thank God we don't live in a town.
And then
like
remember, that. Then remember, that's so and so's birthday.
Yeah. God Almighty!
I just think to get out of the sad part and get back to the movie.
Sorry.
Why did we ever allow ourselves to live in a world like that? And not that saying that we don't have this shit going. I agree.
We allow old men to tell young men when they get to die. That's why.
Oh, jeez.
So when Cornelius got finished reading everything, it looked to me like Taylor actually puffed up a little bit and said, yeah, that's right, baby. I did all that shit. You know I did it.
And hey, could you add in loving, lots of loving to that part too?
Oh, lots of loving, but no love.
But that's also, don't let them read numbers for the Make a Desert of Your Home. That was Taylor. He was plowing some desert. That's why he wants the spade.
Plowing some desert?
That's the episode title.
Is that Plowing Some Desert? Okay.
Desert. Oh my goodness. So Zaius then kind of says, I have found nothing in the cave to alter that conception of man, and I still live by its injunction. So
I still live by its injunction. Is that just the weirdest phrase?
To which I thought, oh, well, Zaius, you found nothing in 3 small piles of relics in one cave. Of course. Well, that obviously fits your theory because there couldn't be anything else in the world.
But what I'm having a problem with is dissecting these minute by minute and going back and forth. There's this Zaius knows, Zaius doesn't know.
Yeah.
Zaius knows. Zaius doesn't know. And this goes back on the fact that he's relying upon scripture for his history and not actual science. I found nothing in the cave to alter that conception of man. Now, granted, he might be talking about an earlier moment, not necessarily the moment that he was just in at that time, but it's just back on this. How much does Zaius know and how much does he not know?
Which goes back to, if we knew why what motivated him, what need was he fulfilling with this, that's why he's reaching to everything he can.
To hide something, yeah.
I mean, and I risk pissing.
Pull the scripture out of my pocket.
Well, I risk pissing people off. Yeah. But we even look at our president, who will who will tweet out. We all know our president's name is Trump, but who will tweet out things to justify his means. That's incredibly interesting as a character who is anything in it. I'm sorry, what?
We hope it's not by March.
We don't know. We don't know based upon the timetable right now if that's true right now.
Okay, so we record these things at a certain time. We don't know what's happened with him and the Russian thing. That's beside the point. But
anyway, go ahead.
A character who's in a leadership position who is constantly grasping at straws,
right,
is a very interesting thing. They are in such a house of cards that they're looking for anything that will make that stand up.
And I will add, just to kind of bring it back to politics, it's regardless of party. Everybody in power.
Absolutely.
They want to keep their
Without
power,
question.
Everybody in power does that. I need an answer to this. I'm going to seize on this thing. I'm going to move to this. I'm going to pivot to this thing over here that's going to answer this question. And then I'm going to reject it 2 minutes later when somebody else says it because now I've pivoted to something else. So, sorry, I just wanted to.
No, and to be fair to that, I was even
saying, Richard. You not believe in politics today?
The other day, fine, we pull back and we tell the stories of personal life. My daughter was asking me about Trump, and she knows what I think of. I'm not a fan. But she said, do you think it would be better if he's out of office? I said, I do think it'd be better, but I'm going to tell you this. I think that it constantly goes, that these people are constantly needing the power. They need the things like this. And I don't care which side of it. We as the citizens have to be aware that they are abusing their power that's given to them. And I think that's the dangerous part of it. And I think when you look at a character like Zaius, the dangerous part of Zaius is he's been given absolute power that encompasses religion, science, and so many other things. When you can take on every indoctrination, bless you, every indoctrination of whatever it is in society people believe in, and you can control it, you have unbridled power that is just, that's inexcusable within a society.
That's why I try to shut down Cornelius and Zira, right? I mean, that's the only reason why he's trying to do it. He wants his version of the scripture to continue to exist.
But even more important than that is whether or not he actually believes what he's saying or not. So if he's a true believer in the fact that humans should be eradicated or kept down or whatever, is that more deadly than being a false, you're just buying into the belief of it or not? Is he really believe that humans are bad, or is he just doing this to maintain his power or not? Who knows?
But
that's even scarier when you just do it to maintain power because you're basing it upon fear. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Based upon this particular piece of scripture, and going back to his conversation with Taylor in his private chambers, when he asked Taylor where he was from, he wants a war. He wants to make sure that those apes, that those humans, are not a threat. And just based upon this one scripture, driving back to the jungle, for he is the harbinger of death, he said Taylor was a mutant, but he also suggested he might have a tribe somewhere.
Yep.
He wants to know where that is, right? Ish? Maybe?
Yeah,
not by the next little bit of the next little bit of time.
Is that him grasping at straws, or is that him actually believing any of this stuff?
And that's exactly what I've kind of gotten is I don't know who Zaius is, and I don't know why he thinks it, why he believes it, why he doesn't believe it. Has he had a bad dream? Did he have an Anakin Skywalker moment where he heard mommy screaming in the background and he decided to take care of it?
Did he eat a piece of bread with a blob of mustard on it and he's having a bad dream and bring me a Christmas goose?
Thank you, Ebenezer Scrooge.
So, what stands out to me from the last few minutes, once we moved outside the cave, is just how much it is about Zaius.
Yeah.
Taylor's wanting to get away, and then Zaius and Cornelius and Zira, outside of having a couple of lines or reading the scripture, are kind of just passive in all of these moments. They have nothing to contribute. They're not trying to defend Taylor to Zaius. They're not trying to defend their science to Zaius. They're just kind of passive in all these moments. It then kind of becomes the man versus monkey opposition.
I was reminded of while watching
Scopes monkey trial.
Yes.
While watching this, the current miniseries that's on, I think they're calling it Paramount TV now. That's not Spike anymore. Yeah. They're doing Waco, which is the Branch Davidians, and Michael Shannon is in it. It's been very good.
Okay.
But I'm reminded of a cult leader, of David Koresh, the kind of person who is, you don't understand him. He's incredibly well versed in Revelations,
or whatever,
and he understands Revelations like no one else does. Zaius is almost like the cult leader. He is the person that somehow has fooled the masses into, I understand this in a way you don't, and follow me blindly down there. I never thought of him as a cult leader before, Yeah. You better watch out, because that does turn into Jonestown as well. Apes may not be around Apekirk anymore.
I know. I'm trying to find an ape term for Jonestown.
I don't think there are any apes terms for Jonestown. But the minute really, in and of itself, is one big speech.
Right. Right. We get the piece of scripture, Zaius saying, I'm set in my decision just because there's nothing you've shown me that changes that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this moment with Lucius kind of coming back saying that, with the actual saddled horse and that kind of stuff. And the five gorillas kind of come behind him, and Taylor says, that's far enough. So I'm going to stop them from getting closer. And then Lucius kind of comes up with the horse, and Chayla actually begins to check the provisions in the thing. There was actually a very weird moment with